Greg Bedard, Boston Sports Journal. How was the O-line looking today? Any better?
Boy!
What's up, guys? I thought the offensive line was decent today. Like you said, I mean, what's interesting is Morgan Moses, he took part in one-on-ones, but then did not take part in team. I do think he's one of these guys. I think Christian Barmore is also there that they're sort of watching his reps and stuff like that. So I'm not overly concerned about that. At least he got some work in today. But I thought the offensive line was pretty good today. I mean, I totaled up the one-on-ones, and their loss rate was only 24%. They were 16-9 and 12 draws, which as an offensive lineman, you'll take a draw. They only lost 9 reps out of whatever that is. That would be 37 reps. So, and I thought, look, these past 2 days in pads, it seems like Vrabel's setting sort of a physical tone. Today wasn't as run heavy as yesterday, but it was a lot of red zone again, low red zone. So, a lot of physical work, not a whole lot of just, drop back passing. But I think so far, it's been fine. I haven't been worried like I have in the past, where I'm just like, holy crap, this is horrendous. I think they're off to a good, solid start, and I'm okay with it.
So, Greg, can you compare that at all to last year? In other words, and use your numbers. In other words, the pass blocking success rate. Can you at all compare that to last year? Was it horrible last year? Do you remember that?
No, I usually the way that I do it, as far as the offensive line goes, I measure them by loss rate, where I view the pass rushers by, win rate. So it's easier for the offensive linemen to quote win their rep, because it's either they win it or they draw. Then they're really doing their job. So normally the offensive line is ahead. I would have to look back and see where it is last year, but usually on the whole, the offensive line does better than the defensive line in these one-on-ones. But just thinking about it and where we've been the past couple of years, I do think that it is better this year so far.
And you're just saying that based on your instinct, what you've seen,
yeah.
Okay. So here's my question, because I just said to these guys, take Vrabel out of it, and I know that's hard. I understand he's part of the equation. But it feels to me like a lot of the optimism and, the vibes around the team are built around Vrabel. I'm talking about the actual team on the field. In the first 2 days of padded practices, there have been fumbled snaps at center.
Yep.
According to Beadle, Will Campbell got ragdolled in the pass game by Keon White yesterday.
Ragdolled him. Okay? Christian
Gonzalez walked off the field with a tissue injury and has a hamstring strain, the severity of which is unclear. I know they're saying, or the indications are, it's not super bad. I'm just wondering, how much better has it really been on the field, other than we all love the coach?
Again, that's hard to say, Maz. I mean, I know we go through this every year. You guys overreact to 2 training camp practices where they're working on certain things. Yeah, Will Campbell had a tough time. First of all, I didn't put it as a decisive loss. I didn't think he got ragdolled. He got against Keon White, who was a big, strong guy, his first one-on-one rep in the NFL in pads. He got a good initial punch on him. Keon White got his hands on him, grabbed his jersey and pulled him down. I didn't think he'd get ragdolled. I mean, that's just, one of those things that goes on. Why don't we talk about the fact that, that Will Campbell and Jared Wilson were both undefeated in their reps today. Will Campbell beat Keon White. He beat Kayvon Chason. Jared Wilson beat Christian Barmore twice. There were other reporters that had another rep that he won against Milton Williams. I had that for a different player. But, let's just, take it down a notch.
Yeah,
I mean,
Maz.
it's like 3 days into practice. And so far, but you're asking me, is the optimism just Vrabel? No, I would not say that. I mean, let's also talk about the fact that an optimistic thing to talk about would be today, until Garrett Bradbury went down with a minor injury towards the end of practice, knowing a veteran center, he'll be back out there tomorrow. But really what it looked like today, is we got our first real look where Jared Wilson was the starting left guard on this team. And we're talking about 2 rookies drafted that were starting on the left side who looked pretty good. And, other optimism. Yes, I'm optimistic because of Vrabel and Josh McDaniels and all these veteran coaches who know their schemes. A lot of them have worked together. But I also look at the guys that they brought in, very similar to what the Commanders did last year. Not the biggest names in free agency, but these guys are good football players who these coaches know and should help them raise the level at a lot of positions on this team. And you combine all that, plus with the schedule, there's some optimism. But I would not make this just about Mike Vrabel. If people are doing that, that's a mistake. And I would invite you guys to come down here and see it for yourself.
I was there Saturday. With everything that you listed in terms of everything you're optimistic about, I didn't hear you say the quarterback. How's he been?
Again, I don't really pay much attention until the pads go on. And yesterday, I think they ran 41 plays, and there were very few pass plays. Today, let me check what I have. Now, I will say Drake May got off to a bad start today. He missed his first 5 passes, and he was spraying the ball all over the place. He threw low to Hunter Henry. He overthrew Kyle Williams. What else did he do? Because I have it written here. Sorry. He threw a pass that was easily broken up by Christian Ellis to Henry. He fumbled a snap with Bradbury. And, right after that, Vrabel kicked the first unit off the field. He told him, because that's like the 3rd fumbled snap that they've had in camp. The first one that didn't involve Jared Wilson. But May also had some moments of brilliance today. He had a great back shoulder to Kyle Williams that he dropped. It was a tough catch to make. He had back-to-back touchdowns to Kyle Williams and Diggs. The one to Diggs was, a thing of beauty. Now, May probably made it a little bit more difficult, almost ran into the back of a blocker, but Diggs came across the field. This is in low red zone, so a lot of traffic, and May threw it with great touch and anticipation and found Diggs. And so he started off 0 for 5, but he finished 5 for 7, I think, with 3 touchdowns after that. So I think May's doing fine. It's going to be, a work in progress, but I think, I'm encouraged by what I've seen pretty much by all sides of the ball. The cornerback thing is not great, and you hope Carlton Davis and Gonzalez are back at some point. But, I'm fairly optimistic so far in camp.
Do you think Wilson's better at center or left guard?
I think he's really good at both. I was encouraged by, and basically what happened is that Wilson pretty much ascended to starting left guard, and then Caden Wallace and Cole Strange split the backup duties, and which meant that Cole Strange basically dropped to third, and he did not have a good practice today. He had a tough one-on-one rep where he did get ragdolled to the ground. I think Wilson could be really good at both, but are they going to have an answer at left guard to allow him to ascend at center over Bradbury? I have my doubts about that, but I've been very impressed with Jared Wilson so far. That kid is a starter in this league, and I don't care what position you put him at.
What's the deal with the exchanges? Keep going on between the centers, and Wilson's been a part of that. What have you seen?
Wilson had a couple of them. Bradbury had one today. It could just be people getting used to things. What's interesting is there have been no issues on shotgun snaps. I thought, Wilson with a guy who's only played center for 1 year, that would be more of an issue. That hasn't been an issue. Yesterday with Wilson, not only did they have a fumbled snap, but there were at least 2 or 3 other exchanges between May and Wilson where May was like juggling the ball, going back to handoff or what have you. It's probably them just having to get used to each other. With the weather that it's been, it could be something like ass sweat or something, because you go through that stuff. You might need some talcum powder and things like that, or a towel back there. It's all an adjustment period, but it is early.
All right, I got one more for you, Greg, and I like playing this game of take so-and-so out of the equation and tell me what it is.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, so the wide receiving core, take Steph Diggs out, because it feels to me like there have been some positive reporting about Booty and about Pop Douglas. Those 2 guys have both looked pretty good.
Yep.
And I think they both were off-season award winners, if I'm not mistaken. I might be
Douglas
wrong about
was,
Booty.
yeah.
Okay, I know Douglas was. I thought I heard that about Booty too, but maybe I'm wrong. In any case, do you see a noticeable improvement in both of those guys, just one of them, or like are they viable options to you potentially to be? When I say viable, you know what I mean. Are they?
Yeah.
Are they becoming legit NFL receivers?
Booty has surprised me. I think he's been one of the surprises of camp. I think both of those guys have improved. It's tough to tell whether, because we've been over this before, how much of a mess the coaching was last year and, on the offense, especially in the wide receiver room. So, how much damage did that do to those guys? I mean, Booty was a guy that I thought didn't have much of a chance to make this team. Now I think he's as of right now he's on this team. How will things change when Mac Hollins comes back? I think Bourne has been good. I think it's been good, so far. And you put Diggs as sort of the cherry on top, and I think it's I've been like a lot of things on this team, I've been encouraged by the start of these wide receivers in this offense.
I'm very disappointed, Greg.
I know.
I'm very disappointed. Again, I think a lot of it's Vrabel. I do. I think a lot of it's Vrabel, and I'm not picking on you specifically. I'm just telling you. I think that based on some of the stuff that's come out of there, that there is some stuff that's hanging on from last year.
I know. Sorry to ruin your program about pushing the panic button on the Patriots already. I will add something you guys will find interesting, and I don't want to get too much into it because we're not allowed to discuss X's and O's. But let's just say that we saw Drake May's legs used today in a couple of different ways that you wouldn't expect from a Josh McDaniels offense or traditional Josh McDaniels offense, maybe more, like Cam Newton, but it was encouraging. And I also thought, along with the offensive line talk, I thought the running game was pretty good today. I mean, I had touchdowns in the running game for Travion Henderson, Lan Larison, Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Williams. So I thought there was more good stuff in this practice. Of course, you're going up against a defense without the two starting cornerbacks, so that's going to make a difference. But, I thought today was a good day of work.
All right, new wrinkles for Drake May in that offense with Josh McDaniels. Interesting. All right.
Nothing gets me excited like a good handoff, Greg.
Greg Bedard, Boston Sports Journal. When did the Big Boy Tuesday start for real? A couple of weeks? The 12th?
I thought I heard the 12th.
Okay.
Is when we go the full Monty.
Is that thumbs up on that, Jimmy? Is that okay? Jimmy just gave me the thumbs up. Okay. All right. Well, we'll continue to get maybe some check-ins before then. Greg Bedard, Boston Sports Journal, again, giving us the live look at camp for the Patriots today. Thanks, Greg.
See you, big
boy.
boy.
See you guys.